Hey everybody, Professor Doom here. So I got a hold of Eric, the Hawaiian real estate guy who's been making the videos out of the Lahaina, Hawaii area. And when I tried to make contact with him, I did try to call and he was busy. So I sent him a text message and asked him what I do believe is the question that everybody wants to know. And the question is, as you can see right here, I know you're very busy. Like you, I produce videos, and many of my subscribers, as myself, are wondering, are there local parents who lost kids pressing officials for answers? If so, have you any plans to interview any of them? And as you can see, I go on and mention everything right here about another entity that I work with on every Wednesday called The Last Jacobite. And because they are asking the same questions as all of you are out there as well. And he texts us back that he's working on it. Okay. So what are we going to do in this video? We are going to be taking a look at a couple of oddities, not only about Maui, but also the Florida Idaho hurricane as well. So let's go take a look at what Eric had to say about the kids here recently, and I want to share with you some thoughts about all of this.
Day long, although I've had 1,000 things come up in the most craziest conversations and hindrances and issues and technical challenges, it just goes on and on and on, but I couldn't end the day without putting out this message to you. And if there was ever a message that you should listen to very carefully and share.
So here are my questions. Since we've already proven, or at least if we take Hawaiian Electric at their word, that they de-energized the power after 6:30 in the morning when the first fire started, and the fire department got it 100% contained and extinguished. Well, the fire then started at 3 o'clock, and that's when it did its destructive damage. It did not do damage or destruction before that time. That means that children were at home at that time, and most parents were at work. If this is the case, then only one of two things have a satisfactory explanation. One is that the parents recognized the severity of the situation, left their work, rushed home, got their kids, got out of there, and they're safe, but they're unable to communicate this to everybody because of the lack of internet capabilities out there, or the Starlinks, whatever the case is. The other thing is that, the parents were not able to get home and their children perished. Or the children recognized the severity of the situation and they made an escape, perhaps going to the water, perhaps hanging out with other people around the water right there to be safe. We just don't know. But here's what we do know. We know that there's some rather strange oddities going on around Hawaii, and just to tick them off one more time that everybody has already got a firm handle on is one. The officials there in Hawaii do not want to release information about the dead. They've claimed there's only about 115. I don't know if the amount has had an increase in the declaration yet. But the last time I checked, they reported it was 115. So you have officials that don't want to speak up. Two, we don't seem to have any parents being seen by Eric West or other citizen journalists in the area. We don't have them on camera making a big ruckus about where the location of their kids are, or even where the remains of their kids are. If most of the adults were at work and could not get back home to their kids, they have to be somewhere, but not just the parents. What about grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, best friends, any of that nature. Where are all those people who's raising their voices to the officials to give them answers to these questions? That's what I think a lot of you people out there want to know. But here's the problem. You have government officials putting up a wall so nothing can be seen. You have a 12-mile zone where media cannot enter into to get any information. You have a no drone fly zone over the area for them to see anything over the wall. The National Guard, the FBI, the ATF, local law enforcement, and if the reports be true, there's even a report that there's some kind of law enforcement or some kind of secret police force or something that's been in the area also doing their thing regarding this situation. Why are they doing all of this? If the kids perished and their bodies are burnt, why would you not have them registered, or why wouldn't you tally them into the recovered dead individuals? And you could the parents, you could give them the remains of their children, but they're not doing that. So I've been wondering about something. Well, and we will get back to that in a second. Everybody has been seeing the theories about direct energy weapon, and even Mr. West right here has come closer to believing that the possibility exists that a direct energy weapon was used, especially when him and his friends came across a couple of cars in a side lot around houses, and there was no scorched earth, but the cars had caught fire, melted rims, melted glass, everything else. So now I want to pose this. What if the kids being missing or even dead, and them not wanting to hand over the remains of the kids to the parents is something more sinister that you can possibly imagine? I want you to listen to this. It's only a possibility. We're going to listen to this, and then we're going to go over and take a look at something very interesting about the Florida Idaho hurricane that I think is pretty interesting as well. Before we take a look at this information about the Maui and the possibilities that exist of why they do not want to produce the remains of individuals that were in the fire impacted zone of Lahaina, let's check this out. Okay, so let me explain to you guys. Does anybody know what the active denial system is? That is a direct energy weapon that uses a lower radio frequency wave where it penetrates just a few layers of the human skin to make individual protesters, rioters, unruly individuals. What it does is it super excites the water molecules in the body and heats them up at a very fast rate. But not fast enough to kill you, but enough to make you want to run from the beam of the energy weapon. Okay? That's what an active denial system is. But has anybody ever heard of a system that would actually cook you from the inside out and make you explode? Let's take a look at this.
Ontario, Canada, and the fires in Maui and Hawaii are all man-made due to directed energy weapons. I am going to prove it to you beyond a reasonable doubt and to a moral certainty with things that normal people or everyday people who are not technically inclined in a certain technical field, namely electronics and ham radio. And I did some work with lasers back in the day. If you are not familiar with those three technologies, or at least one of them, this whole thing will blow right over your head. Now, I'm going to start with the trees burning from the inside in Paradise, California. Normally, this type of shit doesn't happen. A tree does not catch fire from the inside and burn to the outside. It catches fire from the outside and burns to the inside. Also, it's very unusual for a house to burn and a tree right next to it doesn't even get scorched. How does that happen? Well, I'm going to have to prove it to you. And in order for you to accept what I'm going to tell you as absolute empirical fact, you're going to have some homework to do, and I will leave the links down in the description. These fires were undoubtedly set by what is called microwave amplification through stimulated emission of radiation, or laser. You have laser, which is a laser, a normal laser like you use to play with your cat with, which stands for light amplification through stimulated emission of radiation. Well, a maser is the same as a laser, only it uses microwaves. High frequency, very high frequency, ultra high frequency microwaves like you have in your microwave oven. And if you want to see for yourself how a tree can burn from the inside, here's a little experiment that you can do. And it's a totally safe experiment. Don't worry about it. It's not going to hurt you. Take a shot glass, a little shot glass, put it in your microwave right in the center. With a thing, if you have one of those things that turns, put it right in the center, and take one grape and put it on top of the shot glass. Close the door and hit start. That thing will glow like a neon bulb, and it will catch fire from the inside out because the microwaves conduct inside the grape because it's wet, it's moist. Same as a tree. Tree bark is an insulator. It doesn't conduct electricity. It's not a conductor. But the sap inside the tree certainly is. So when you point microwaves, high frequency, high powered microwaves at a tree, what it's going to do is going to cause what they call eddy currents, EDDY, eddy currents to flow in the sap. And the more power you put it in, the hotter the sap will get. Same like in a microwave. You put something in a microwave, and it literally cooks from the inside out. So you point a microwave weapon at a tree, and the tree is going to catch fire from the inside out, from where it's wettest, from where the current can flow more freely than in the bark, which is not a good conductor, and the tree catches fire from the inside out. Also, in California, we had pictures of cars whose aluminum wheels melted. How does that happen? How does an aluminum wheel melt in a forest fire? Well, it can't, because forest fires don't get hot enough to melt aluminum. Just as jet fuel doesn't burn hot enough to melt beams in a steel-structured building such as the World Trade Center. Something has to be an explanation for all of this. World Trade Center was a controlled demolition. without a doubt. Anybody who believes that planes can go through a building and burn a steel-structured building down and collapse 3 buildings, World Trade Center 1, World Trade Center 2, and Building 7. If you can believe that a plane that hit the 2 buildings could cause 3 buildings to fall down and fall down perfectly into their own footprint from burning jet fuel, you need to stop smoking that shit and get on to some fucking reality. Because that shit does not happen. Trees do not start burning from the inside out. I don't care how much wind is blowing. So this, and it's not my opinion, do the research. I'll leave the links in the description for the articles that I'm going to show you. Look up eddy currents and microwave amplification through stimulated emission of radiation. These are directed energy weapons. And if you, as a person, as a living being, get hit by one of these maser concentrations, you will just vaporize. Your body will explode because your blood and the fluids in your body are 95% water, will just, and you'll just be an explosion of meat. And before anybody can find you, the dogs, the cats, the birds, the vultures will eat you. 9/11, the Paradise Fires, the fires in Quebec, and now the fires in Maui are directed energy weapon incidents, beyond any doubt whatsoever.
Okay. So let's analyze exactly what he said. So you guys understand the properties of microwaves. The higher the wattage of a microwave, the quicker your food will cook. Okay? We understand that concept. And you've heard the stories about what would happen if you put a gerbil or a mouse or something in your microwave. It's going to blow its body all over the inside of your microwave. So what he's saying holds some merit. And the whole explanation about the inside of the trees burning and not the outside also holds merit. Now, so once I heard this, I asked myself a question. They're putting up all of these walls around, and they're having the National Guard and all kinds of law enforcement keep people at bay, even the media and the residents that have been displaced. And they're using the excuse, they're using the excuse that it has some kind of, let me tell you, if someone wants to fucking go in there and get their safe or their family heirlooms that may still be in existence, and they're willing to take the risk, well, then you freaking let them in there. Why do you, okay. So let me calm down a second. Let me calm down. Let's say that's the truth. Let's say that they're trying to protect people's health. Then explain the wall. Explain the wall. If they are scooping up the remains of kids and other people that died due to this energy weapon that basically could explode their body, superheat their fluids in their body, making them explode just like you would put some kind of little small animal in your microwave, does that explain the secretiveness? Does that explain? How about if they actually, let's say that it wasn't the United States who did this. Let's say that they know it was China, and yet the United States is scared of going to war with China. How do we know? How do we know that that cannot be the case? These are oddities that I have no proof to offer up as the truth. but they still have very interesting questions attached to all this about the fencing, the National Guard, the ATF, the FBI, FEMA, everybody being so secretive. Nobody wants to answer questions. Nobody's producing kids. Why is that? Is it because their bodies have been demolished and they can't? No way could they give the remains of these children in the condition of being hit with any kind of direct energy weapon. There would be no way that they could hand over the bodily remains to their parents that they've been scooping up with shovels. And that's why they have to put a fence up. Is that a possibility? Now that we've answered that, let's go take a look at the situation with Florida and ask a couple of questions about that. I wanted to show you something really weird about the census numbers for Lahaina, Hawaii, and then we're going to take a look at the census numbers somewhere else, just to show you the situation and the oddities about the census numbers. Okay, let's take a look at the numbers in relation to some arbitrary location. We're just going to take a look at one, okay? And maybe we can be quick. Okay, so this is Lahaina, Hawaii, right? Here's Ohio, somewhere in Ohio. Okay. So if we look at the population, and we can see that Cuyahoga Falls City, Ohio, has a population as of July 1st, 2022, which is interesting because what they do is this is always a year behind. So they do the census like in 2023. Isn't that how it works? Something like that? I do believe. Well, the census right here has some very interesting numbers. So you see we have 50,655. And then, of course, April, so it declined, right? But I want you to take a look at the age and the sex of individuals at the year of 2022. Under 5 years old, 6.1. Under 18, 19.1% of the population of that city is under the age of 18. Let's take a look at Lahaina. Lahaina, Hawaii. Population estimates for July 1st, 2022, X. Population estimate April 1st, 2020, X. Population percentage change, X. Population census of the age and sex of individuals from, they got the numbers there. Persons under 5 years old, 8.1% in Lahaina. But the number I want you to see, persons under the age of 18 years old, we're talking about school age kids, 25.6%. That means that is over a quarter of the population of Lahaina is school age children. So that would be a hell of a lot of children missing. But the oddity is why the X in the population calculation factors. That just seems to defy understanding, doesn't it? Maybe I don't know the whole inner workings of how they do the census, but I found that rather odd. Now, let's take a look at something about lightning, hurricanes, causes, and effects. So let's take a look at something. What is lightning and what causes it? I think we all have a firm grip on what exactly the cause and effects are of lightning. It is the early stages of development. Air acts as an insulator between the positive and negative charges in the cloud and between the cloud and the ground. When the opposite charges build up enough, this insulating capacity of the air breaks down and there's a rapid discharge of electricity that we know as lightning. The flash of lightning temporarily equalizes the charged regions in the atmosphere until the opposite charges build up again. Lightning can occur between opposite charges within the thunderstorm cloud or between opposite charges in the cloud and on the ground. Lightning is one of the oldest observed natural phenomena on Earth. It can be seen in volcanic eruptions, extremely intense forest fires, surface nuclear detonations, heavy snowstorms, and in large hurricanes. Obviously, thunderstorms. What causes thunder? Lightning causes thunder. Energy from a lightning channel heats the air briefly to around 50,000 degrees. This causes the air to explode outward. So my question then to you is this. If you heat the ionosphere with an intense wildfire, or if you heat the ionosphere with a volcano, because the heat discharge from the volcano goes up to the atmosphere, the ionosphere, stratosphere, whatever, one of those spheres, and it heats it, then it can cause lightning, right? Well, what is it that you use to heat up the ionosphere to direct a hurricane if you wanted to direct it with radio frequencies such as HARP? You superheat the ionosphere, right? And wouldn't that create something? Doesn't that tell you if you're heating that just like a volcano would, just like a very intense wildfire would, that radio frequency would also cause lightning? Well, let's take a look at this very odd lightning show that took place during the Hurricane Idaho, where it never had time to recharge and there was no clappings of thunder from the lightning. This was Idaho, August 26th.
That was the same thing that the guy on YouTube was showing that happened over in their area. And that was east of here, I think, eastern. Meridian, Idaho. What's the odds of this happening here and it happened in that area too? It's happening everywhere.
Where was the video
I think it was over on the East Coast somewhere, like in between Ohio and Ohio area. I think. I'll have to watch again, see what area it was from.
I decided to kill the lights so there's no weird reflection at the bottom of my screen. But it's just